Now, this story. The University of North Carolina is dealing with the largest academic fraud scandal in NCAA history. An investigation revealed that for nearly 2 decades, over 3,000 students, yes, 3,000 students, half of them basketball and football players, were urged to take courses that required no class time, no professor, and only a single term paper graded by an administrative assistant. The African American Studies Department was particularly notorious for handing out A's and B's. 9 staffers have been fired or disciplined, and the NCAA will now determine whether to take more action. Some are saying the university's lack of commitment to educate black student athletes and the cynical choice of Afro-American studies used for the bogus classes implicates racism. Back to our panel, Ray Baker with Ray Baker Media, Lauren Victoria Burke, managing editor of Politic365.com, and Jarvis Stewart, chairman and managing partner of Ian Reed LLC. To say that it might have some tones of racism is just a little bit, to me, of an understatement. It is mostly African-American college athletes going to African-American studies classes headed up by 2 African-Americans, to which, ironically, no white administrators or management or even the president knew about it. What do you think about that?
Well, I mean, obviously, first of all, the only reason that UNC was interested in these students in the first place is because they could bounce a ball or run a football anyway. They're not interested in their education. So obviously, they're not. When you're not interested in somebody's education and you're bringing in over $600 million to these schools in some cases, it's kind of like, who cares about whether
education's ancillary,
yeah,
right?
So education takes a backseat to this anyway. And that's really the embarrassment here, that we accept this. They're basically using these kids for profit. They're using these kids to make money. And this incident highlights that, obviously.
Sure, but using the African American Studies Department and these two, one gentleman who was the chair of the department and then his sort of administrative assistant, were the ones that they are putting the blame on for these sham classes.
They ran this entire
could that be possible? Nobody knew.
Here's the thing. You know, we saw after Penn State how university administrators did a terrible job at transparency. One of the things, the #1 rule in crisis communication, crisis management, is that you have to tell the truth very slowly. What they did is they completely ignored the whistleblower 5 years ago. If I'm the provost, if I'm the university president, if I'm anyone, says, you know what, if they're saying it, if this young woman is saying that there's a problem, let's pause, do an internal investigation and figure it out.
An 18-year problem.
An 18-year problem.
I mean,
They completely blew it off. So now they're trying to get the toothpaste back in the tube by trying to explain what happened. It's too late. It's the department and the university has a cloud over its head. And unfortunately, as you look at university budgets across the country, the programs that are being cut the most are African American, Hispanic studies, et cetera, which, you know, in this case, you know, I don't know how they're going to move forward on this.
Yeah, I mean, what should happen? I mean, what should the NCAA do? During this time, there were 3 basketball championships, 93, 05, and one other year, I think
2009.
It was 2009.
That's exactly right.
Do you take those championships away? I mean, it doesn't really hurt the students that played in those championships, but it would tarnish the school.
The NCAA probably, to be completely honest, should not take action to do anything in a punitive way against the University of North Carolina, because that'd be hypocrisy at its finest point. The NCAA is based on the work of exploitation, as we've already outlined here. The former and initial executive director of the NCAA even compared the way that men's basketball and football is being applied across the United States to plantation politics. And finally, we just simply have to be quiet and learn from our ancestors. In the 1920s, Dr. W.E.B. Du Bois, at Yale no less, said he is worried that football will now drive the school.
Wait, but are you saying that the
NCAA
shouldn't take any action against the university?
Well, here's why. It's because it's the pot calling the kettle black. If the NCAA were to do that.
But still, that's like saying that the NBA shouldn't have done anything with Donald Sterling. I mean, the NBA has inherent racism as well. They have to do something.
No, I don't. Okay, and again, I'll accept the pushback, but I firmly don't believe the NCAA should be the one who's doing anything.
So who should?
If there's going to be something that should be done, I think first we have to. I would love to see an organization of athletes. Some time ago, last football season, APU, All Players United, came together to try to organize around the unionization
education.
of college athletes. I would like to see the athletes from Northwestern University who participated come to North Carolina.
So
Come to
that's
North
going to be a
Carolina.
problem for them. They don't have real degrees. So I mean, that may be a slightly a problem. I kind of understand what you're saying, but the NCAA being the governing body over there has got to do something. And hypocritical or not,
is going to suffer.
or
They need to step forward.
absolutely.
Who do you punish and then how?
So
how do you hit them?
You hit them in the pocket. You suspend the program.
What they care about, money.
That's fair. That's fair. That's fair. No, that's fair. But if we're going to do that, then we have to do it in mass and just dismiss UNC's complete athletic department for at least 5 years.
What would be wrong with that? What would be wrong with that?
I mean, but are we willing to go that far? Are we willing to go that far?
Them in the pocket, because
listen, many a school has had a basketball scandal. University of Miami, other have had to have their programs cut down.
Unusual,
Is it unfair to the athletes that thought that they were going to go there and they, would have scholarships? Yes,
the idea of the student
there
athlete,
has to be some.
The idea of the student athlete is nonsense anyway. We all understand that.
Right.
These people are at these schools to make the school money. So the idea that we're hurting the athletes.
Yeah,
hold on one second.
I gotta go. But we will come back.